So just as a note, that if we're running anything and if the sound's being garbled, please put your microphone on mute. If you're having issues with the video feed coming through, you can always stop your video, and sometimes that helps if things are lagging a little bit. Um, I, you can see, of course, the options to chat in the chat box, and who else is in the room with your participant button. If you have any questions or any reactions, you're welcome to raise your hand or share one of the reactions when we're in the group, if you have something to say. And then as well, the session will be recorded, and we'll be sharing it on our Healthy Aging Alberta YouTube and on Core Alberta in the group later. So if you want to catch up on this, you can always watch it again, and we'll share the link afterwards. So just a little note about myself and Healthy Aging Alberta, if it's new to you. So Healthy Aging Alberta is a rich network of community-based senior serving organizations across Alberta that were united by a shared vision, which is to make Alberta one of the best places to grow older. So together we're working to coordinate the CBSS sector, and that's the community-based senior serving sector, so that we can so it can be integrated within the broader system of care, and we can empower, support, and inspire every older Albertan to age how they choose, ultimately improving health and social outcomes. So together we're creating the infrastructure that connects us to increase our collective impact. So Healthy Aging Alberta is both a network and an entity. It's an entity in the fact that we do have a staff body that is actively working towards various goals to unite and connect the sector and to advocate on policy and collaborate with the government at systems level. But then we're also a network that it includes the community-based senior serving organizations, such as the other hosts in this room today with Betty and Corey and Jane. So we are the network that is unifying the sector and really trying to share the voice of the sector of what the need is. Core Alberta, if you haven't been on there yet, that is a collaborative platform. It stands for Collaborative Online Resources and Education, and it is run by us at Healthy Aging Alberta. So the Healthy Aging Core Alberta platform, it's for community-based senior serving organizations and systems allies that you can share resources. You can post events such as this one. There's mentoring opportunities, there's funding opportunities, communities practice, policy development, resource development. We share news. So it's quite the resource hub. We like to call it as kind of like Facebook, like a big Facebook here. It's our Facebook for the senior serving sector. And you can see the link there to the Core Alberta. You can join us. You can sign up for a membership. It's free. You can hear about other events. And we have 18 groups that are actively working on different issues. So this Intergenerational Linkages group is one of the 18 that we host regular meetings and talk about intergenerational programming. But there's other groups there, such as food insecurity, elder abuse, men's sheds. There's quite a few other groups that are working towards things for the province. So you're welcome to sign up for a membership. You can also join Core BC and Core National if you would like, which give a different perspective. I know the one person here that's coming from New Brunswick. We have Core National. So between the three platforms, you can flip between them. When you sign up for Alberta, you have to sign up for national, or you can sign up for national at the same time. But yeah, you can flip between the three sites and take advantage of the content on all three. I'll let Betty take over the mic here.
Okay, thanks, Stephanie. So she's told you all about CORE, and this is the planning team that plans events for the intergenerational community of practice in Alberta. Even though we're located in Alberta, we invite anybody to our events. So there's myself, and then there's Corey Ladwig. She's the team lead for seniors, adult, and community programs in the County of Grand Prairie. Jane Atkin, she's co-chair of Sundre Seniors Spruce Society in Sundre. And then Stephanie, who you've already met, she's engagement and communication specialist with Healthy Aging Alberta. So what we're going to do next is we're going to try to watch another video. And Stephanie, if this doesn't work, I can reclaim host and play it from here, but don't start it yet. So the reason we chose this topic was the challenges and triumphs of recruiting older adults, okay, for our intergenerational programs. Some of you or all of you may be hosting intergenerational, and I'm going to say IG, which means intergenerational, in your community. You've probably done events. They could be one-offs. They could be like for special occasions, or they could be longer term programs, okay? And it's usually in the longer term programs that the actual intergenerational relationships develop. And so we all know that there's a huge issue right now of social isolation and loneliness, not just among older adults, but it's interesting because the same issue, we find that same issue with teenagers or young people in general. And so why not bring these two generations together? We're going to show you a video, and it's Kelly Clarkson in the United States has a talk show, and she invited an organization from New York City called Duro, and you're going to meet the CEO. I met him when I was at the International Intergenerational Conference in DC last July. And they do lots of different things, but it's all intergenerational. And when I found this video, I thought, you know what? It really speaks to the need, the benefits that are reciprocal, and also the need of intergenerational relationships. So as we watch this, I want you to think about your own community, your own organization. Why are you interested? Why do you think intergenerational relationships are important? And for those of you who are actually a participant in an intergenerational program, you could probably relate to what these people are saying. And I want you to think about, why do you attend? Okay, so we're going to watch this video. It's about 6 minutes long, but just really see how you can relate and how you can use what they say, and hopefully you can be inspired to really do a great intergenerational program in your community. Okay, Stephanie, good luck.
Let's see.
Try again. Show us a video.
Yeah.
Also,
All right. Can you see the video, the Kelly Clarkson video?
Yeah.
choose a little thing.
As you can see, walking around New York, you meet lots of great people. There are so many people trying to make a difference in this town. It's so beautiful, and I want to introduce you to some. First, meet Marilyn and Nathaniel. Yeah! They are part of a movement helping combat social isolation.
I met Eloise on Zoom when she was 13 years old.
Yep.
I won't tell you how old I am.
We were both in the intergenerational chess program.
He's better than I am, but it was, we would have a conversation and it always developed into something interesting.
I was immediately taken by your Zoom background.
It's never the same twice.
Yeah. You know, someone who I've met who I feel like is more similar to me than most people I've met, besides my family. You're easily one of the people that know me best.
Nathaniel is genuine. He's there when he's there. I would tell him anything I would tell anybody else.
We are back with a whole panel of people doing good around the city of New York. You just saw teens and seniors who were paired up by a New York organization called Duro. Its mission is to combat social isolation. which I can't imagine the past few years have been so isolating for everyone. They must have been very busy. As you can see, the benefits go both ways. Marilyn and Nathaniel were featured in that video. So everybody say hello again. You, just sitting here in the break, you both seem to have a genuine connection. Was that like right off the bat?
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah, we really felt it. It did not feel like a teen that I was talking to, a teenager. I was talking to a, just, as I said, genuine, caring other person. And we
like a peer,
talked,
sort of.
Yeah, exactly.
It didn't feel
like a peer.
The age didn't really define our relationship. It felt like you're just talking to any other person.
I love that. We actually have Mark Meredy, the executive director for Derote, in our audience right now. So Mark, explain the name and what does Derote mean?
Well, thanks for having us, Kelly. Derote is a Hebrew word meaning generations. And our mission is about bringing the generations together and addressing the issue of social isolation and loneliness, to give people an opportunity to stay socially engaged and connected. And it's really this kind of magic that we've been able to see. Now, over the last 2.5 years, we have gone from being an organization solely based here in New York City to doing programming now virtually, where we have volunteers from over 30 states of all ages who are involved in our programming. And it's really about bringing the young and the old together. And what's really beautiful about our work is that not only are we bringing the generations together, but we're giving people the opportunity to sit at a table or over a Zoom screen who would have never, ever had the opportunity to meet one another. It's really about bringing people from different backgrounds together to be able to engage and help people to stay connected, particularly during these really difficult times. Because we know that social isolation and loneliness has been equated to smoking 15 cigarettes a day, which is why this is such a serious problem and why it's so important for people to stay socially engaged and connected.
And also very telling that you just said 30 more states are now involved. It just shows you how much of a need there is and a crisis that people they're feeling isolated. They're in need of that. And there's so much growth to be had there. It's really, really cool. So Marilyn, what's something you want to stress to Nathaniel, like his generation?
I always told him to have no regrets. Go for it.
Yeah.
Trust your instincts.
Dream big.
Absolutely, and go for it. Don't put it off. You might not be able to do it tomorrow, do it today.
Amen.
And trust yourself.
Yeah. That's great advice. So Nathaniel, Marilyn has genuinely impacted your life. So can you tell us more about that?
I just think you just had like such a profound impact on me the last year. I'm actually going away to college in the next few weeks.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm actually going abroad for school in Scotland, the University of St. Andrews. So, and
wow.
I don't know anyone over there, and I don't think I would have been able to do it if it wasn't for Mel. She just has this way about her. She's lived in a Tanzanian village for months. She has an adoptive family in Brazil just from working there. Anywhere she goes, she just is able to find people, and she has the courage to sort of like seek out connections with others. And
she knows how to live.
Yeah, basically. And I don't know, this really inspired me to sort of build up the courage and to not have regrets and to sort of put myself out there and to do what I want to do, even if it seems, really frightening at first, to know that I could do it. And I just want to thank you for like being part of that.
I will be there. You want to call, you want to write, you want to talk to me, you want to email me, and I will find a way to come and visit too.
I love that's what I hope you're so proud. That's what this organization has done. It's like, you maybe wouldn't have done that. You maybe wouldn't have been brave enough, and had the courage. Yeah. And meeting this woman has lit a fire in your heart, rather.
And with young people, it helps me to stay young. So he has kept me young, because if you're around old people, you're going to get old.
You say I'm an old soul, right?
Right, an old soul. But youthful, and I need that.
Yeah. Everyone, I love hanging out at the kids' table at Thanksgiving. So
absolutely.
I'm a child. So Derote plays an important role for so many people in New York and now in several different states. And we want them to keep it up because it's so important what they're doing. So we're going to give them $10,000 to help them out. We think it's incredible. Congratulations on Scotland. That's so cool. Very, very cool.
turn it back to you, Betty.
I forget to unmute myself. I hope you were inspired. So usually at these events, we have a speaker. And today we thought, you know what? We have a lot of wisdom in our group. So instead of having one speaker, we're going to let all of you speak, and all at the same time, but not all in the same room. So what we're going to do, Stephanie is going to break us out into 3. Stephanie, I think we can do 3 breakout rooms, right? Okay, we're going to be in 3 breakout rooms, and Jane and Corey and I will be split among the 3 to facilitate the discussion. And in this, so here's some questions that, here's some, Paul, could you unmute yourself for a second, please?
Sure.
Or I mean, mute yourself. I would never tell him that in person. So what you're going to do in your breakout room, you're going to answer the question about thinking about recruiting older adults, because that's our theme. So what has worked for you in your community? What hasn't worked? And what are some ideas that you have on how you can reach isolated older adults in your community? So those are the 3 questions, and you're going to use a tool in your breakout room called a mural, and Stephanie's going to give you a tiny little tutorial.
Welcome back, everyone. You got us
Okay,
all.
so we're going to hear from each group, and we're going to do group 1 first. And Danny is going to be the spokesperson, talking to us about.
Hi, my name is Danny. My pronouns are she, her, and I am the senior support coordinator at the town of Banff. So in our group, the first one was how can we reach isolated older adults? So we thought like a newsletter, word of mouth, referral from home care, as well as partnering with housing providers, looking at maybe friends and neighbors, as well as phone checkups or one-to-one visits. We spoke about things that have worked well. So relationships with board of directors, as well as recreation departments, relationships with the schools, the idea that friends bring friends. Schools would go to senior facilities, so meet them where they're at. Presentations regarding intergenerational programming. We found that drop-in programs were more successful than registered lengthy programs. Also the time of year. And I mentioned connecting with home care regarding these programs so that they can refer, as well as word of mouth. Posters and advertising has worked well. Interest sheet, I'm not sure what that one was, as well as church connections, coffee groups, intake forms. And then what we found hasn't or isn't working in our communities is these more of the structured programs, so the lengthier ones, as well as not being able to necessarily reach the isolated older adults, and continued commitment. So that's what we have from our group.
Okay, thanks, Danny. And I just want to add something. Danny mentioned that short-term are better than long-term. Now, you know what? This is relative because it depends on the location and it depends on the age of the youth, probably, because I'm in Calgary and I only offer long-term programs from November until May, and they are successful if we can get the older adults out. So, you know, what works in one area might not work in another. just to clarify that. Okay, part 2. Group 2, who's breakout group 2?
Hello, hello. My name's Jose. I work with Andrew Fleck Children's Services in Ottawa, and I'm the Intergenerational Project Coordinator there. So for our group, with regards to how can we reach isolated older adults, we agreed that food and music were effective social lubricants. We also agreed it was important to meet them in the middle. So instead of hosting programming in a dedicated setting, trying to move it somewhere closer to them, such as the lobby or community space of an apartment complex, visiting them where they are. And that also helps for targeting optics. So making sure that the program is visible and it's in a well-lit space that looks cozy and comfortable to draw them out of isolation and into a community setting. It's also important to know your area's demographics. So checking with Stats Canada or any sort of local community council to see where are the specific condominiums, apartments, or even neighborhoods where there's a higher older adult demographic, to circulate flyers and look for your community champion who can help you with recruitment in that area. Also coordinating with local doctors' offices and bumping places where naturally you're going to have connections with older adults forming. With regards to what has worked well, we found that programs which are directly in seniors' homes or community living work very well because it's accessible to them right then and there. Posters and flyers in common meeting places for older adults. So again, doctors' offices, your A&W or local takeout restaurant, libraries, coffee shops, senior centers, especially having phone numbers as opposed to QR codes or email is a lot more accessible to them digitally. If you are going to be using social media, you're often going to be targeting their children or grandchildren, so you need to gear it in that direction. Another important thing to do is you need to find a community champion, someone who's very extroverted, who has a lot of ties to the local area, has, a foot in a whole bunch of different doors for senior services, who can help be your liaison and your middleman or woman with these different community groups and do a little bit of recruiting for you, as well as formalizing some of those introductions. One strategy we found very effective is targeting NORCs. Those are naturally occurring retirement communities. So that's a single building or an area where you have 35% or more older adults. Some provinces actually have provincial and federal funding for committee groups that help these older adults organize and live independently. So looking into that and connecting with them is very, very effective because they'll usually be able to easily find you a time slot to come in and do an open house about your program. Especially having drop-in availability is very helpful because if they see the program running for several weeks on end, it's visible, it looks cozy, and they might be a little bit hesitant about booking that appointment. It's a good little way to open the door, get a breadcrumb trail to the program, and then once they're in the door, you can try and find something about their hobbies, their interests, their history, which entices them to stay and continue participating.
Wow, you guys talked fast. That's amazing. And don't forget, these notes are going out tomorrow. Okay, group 3.
I didn't get anybody to volunteer. Paul, would you like to do it for us? Yeah, you.
Group 3 was hopping, by the way.
Okay. All right. So how can we reach isolated older adults? Well, we thought of like a local newsletter, go out in the community and just be present, a block party, inviting people to drop-in activities. Can't read this other one. Well, let me see. Let's make it larger. That's it. Thank you. Could have a website, also coffee and tea 3 afternoons a week. Shovel snow and cut grass often makes conversation. I think this is something that the high school students can do for seniors, give them a sense of purpose sometimes, or keep them out of trouble. Visit local doctor's offices, meet people, have some parties, hang out in a grocery store. I don't know. It sounds like we're lurking in grocery stores waiting for people to meet. I don't know. That sounds like lurking to me, but I don't know.
Okay, let's move down to what's worked well.
Okay, let me see where that. What has worked well? It's changing the time of events to suit seniors better, i.e., before dinner. Offer activities for seniors, senior stretch and connection, caffeinate and educate senior scams. That's always a good one. Community open houses, community lunch programs, pen pals, library reading, health and info fairs, local free talent shows, parties. I see parties here a few times. Mentoring programs, reading to seniors, joint activities with families. I also thought that for the high school students that we deal with, that maybe we could invite some seniors onto high school outreach programs, or their day trips to Drumheller or wherever, or something like that. We've got pretty good thing. Did I miss anything really good? Free lunches with youth and entertainment.
I think the new Mom and Senior Support Connect program is kind of unique.
Yep, that would be kind of a different generation, but yeah. We have snacks and conversation, or games and activities, which we do at our place. I think I'll move down to the third one, I guess. What isn't working? Okay. We are attracting a few more seniors, but not many younger people. Many older or isolated seniors do not use computers, and it makes it hard to get in touch with them, obviously. We could do some billboarding in some of the seniors' residents, and maybe have some of the seniors that aren't living in a residence volunteer driving to meeting spots. Also using the seniors' places themselves, but then it would be logistic problems with getting the kids up there,
Okay, thank you, Paul.
Yeah.
I see a lot of this is talking about topics and programs. And what we want to really focus on is how can we get the older adults to these programs? And so what I took out of one thing I took out of what you said was, like, the different topics, depending on what the topic is, they may have more interest. For example, if they're going to learn how to use their computers, you might get more seniors out. So things like that. Okay, well, I hope you had it sounds like each group had a great discussion. And thanks for sharing. And like I said, I'll be writing out these notes so that I can send them to you. So hopefully, as a result of hearing what everybody discussed, you've gotten some ideas of what can you do in your community to reach out to isolated seniors or older adults in general, to get them to come to your intergenerational events or programs. Okay, so we're going to have one more breakout room, and this one will just be like for maybe 5, let's say 8 minutes, Stephanie. And the question for this one is, what are some things you want to try in your community? So this is kind of like your takeaway, because you've heard a lot of ideas, we've brainstormed. And so how can you apply what you're learning today? And what's something that inspired you, or that you're willing to try, that's going to help you in your community? Okay, so same thing, the mural board, and the third question is below where you were before.
Welcome back,
Okay.
everyone.
Yes, I hope that you had a great discussion. And our time is flying, like, of course, it always does. So instead of having each group report, I'm just going to ask a few of you, well, to just speak out and tell us something that you are going to try that maybe you haven't tried before, that you would like to try. Don't all speak at once.
I would like to try contacting seniors' homes that have a van and see if maybe they could bring some people out on our Friday afternoon sessions at our church.
Okay, Peggy is part of an intergenerational club that I oversee, and there's a high school, 20 high school students go there every Friday. Well, whenever they can, right? Every Friday for about 10 seniors. And you know what, Peggy, that's a good idea. And it just made me think too, you could even invite the band from the high school, although we are talking about recruiting seniors. That's a great idea. Mention it to Lubna.
Okay.
And Donna. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, anybody else? Got any ideas of something you'd like to try? You're a lot more chattier when you're in your groups, right? Okay. Okay, Jane, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say that one of the things I've always wanted to try at our local museum is bringing the seniors over and dressing them up and having them interact with our guests and things like that at the museum. So it's like a living museum and they meet all generations.
Oh, Jane, that sounds awesome. And that just gave me an idea. What if you do that and then go to the school and invite one of the grades to come over while they're doing that?
That would work too.
Because then you're sure to get the youth and they've got the interaction.
Yeah.
Oh,
I also like gathering stories. When I was teaching, I had the kids talk to their parents and their grandparents, if they had them, or an older senior that they knew, about what they did when they were young. And it was quite interesting. I published it at the end of the year. Each of the kids got a book of the stories and that. And seniors have very interesting stories to tell. So even if they gathered some and brought them to the group from, people that they knew.
Yeah. Peggy, you're going to have to tell Lubna and Donna about that one too.
Yeah.
Anybody else? I don't want to cut anybody off. Okay, Heidi was asking about Pen Pal. She's heard that Pen Pal programs have been successful. Has anybody here had a successful Pen Pal program that was intergenerational?
We had one at our church with the younger people in the congregation matched to an elderly person, and it was fairly successful. It was during COVID to keep the kids kind of, less isolated.
Okay.
It usually has to be done by approaching a teacher, and I think they learn to write letters in grade 4 or something. So we tried it once, but we didn't get enough seniors signed up for a whole class set. So you need enough seniors as well.
That's the problem, right? That's what we're trying to
We've been doing
here
in the county. We use our community school liaison counselors. So we have counselors who work within the schools, as well as our home support clients. So some of our more isolated seniors. It was started during COVID, and we've continued to do it. Each year it's new kids, and the seniors come back year after year. And as it's evolved, we've actually started doing kind of a once a year meet and greet as well with it. So it's having, those two programs and bringing them together, right? So it's having the school connection, somebody within the school to do the follow-up, and making it as easy as possible. So we will, because we have the home support workers who are working in the homes, We do kind of the delivery of the letters to bring them back to North Central, right? So it's eliminating some of those barriers, which has worked well. I've even taken on some letters sometimes too, just because I like it.
That's awesome. And then and you said you had a meet and greet, like, so they all came together and met each other?
Yeah, so we hosted it at the school. Because the community that it was happening in, we kind of looked at where most of the seniors lived, and it was a very rural community with no other gathering place in the community aside from the school. That is where we hosted it. Transportation was a challenge for the seniors because they did have to get there, but then the kids were at the location.
Thanks for sharing that.
Welcome.
Any other comments? Okay, so what I want to hear from you, 1 or 2 words or 1 or 2 sentences. Because we're wrapping up now, what is something you're taking away from being here today? And if you don't want to speak it out, you can put it in the chat. But I'm sure others want to hear it. So what's a takeaway for you?
I take away just how productive it can be if you can make those intergenerational connections. But I think sometimes it's challenging to create them in the first place.
Yeah, that's the challenge.
I would just say try it. Like, you never know if it's going to work unless you try it. And you can sit all day long thinking about, well, this could work, well, this couldn't, well, this person maybe won't like this, or they might not enjoy it. And really, if you just try it, you don't know if it's going to work until you actually do it. So that's what I'm taking away from it. And as long as you have the major things, partnerships figured out, the rest usually will work its way out from there.
I love that. Try it. And if it doesn't work, it's not a failure. Then you know what doesn't work, and you go on to try to figure out what does work. Awesome.
One thing I really enjoyed hearing was doing that breadcrumb trail. So and being observing and watching the seniors who are kind of coming and just kind of checking it out and testing the waters. You see that with kids, you see that with people who have for some reason they're not willing to engage. So being mindful and looking out for those and making that one-on-one connection, which could be, you never know what that little nugget will be that will bring the person back.
I wasn't in the group conversations, but I think my feedback would be, I used to do youth programming and intergenerational programming. I think just being creative with the ideas, like I've done online cooking classes. If people aren't coming to a physical space together, sometimes they'll come to a digital space together, that we'd have somebody's Nana teaching everybody else a recipe together online in their kitchens, which was lovely. So, or the spaces where both youth and older adults are already frequenting are great spaces. Instead of going to just one population's area, look at the spaces everybody's already coming. So those would be mine.
Stephanie, as you said that, I was thinking libraries. I'm always like, some people, if they're not readers, they probably think, do people even use libraries anymore? But I'm in my local library, I don't know how many times a month, because I'm a reader. And I'm always amazed at the library. Sometimes I just want to sit down for a bit. Sometimes I can't even find a chair. So working with the librarians, because you've already got both ends of the spectrum. Okay, Amy says, I love that so many people are committed to this work. And Paul said that a good number of seniors are committed to this program, or should be committed. But yeah, I'm always encouraged at like that video that we watched, and then look at all of you who are here and even more registered there. It's the intergenerational field is actually, it's a movement going through, it's a global movement. And so there's, when I was at the Intergenerational Conference, there was somebody from, I forget the name of he was in Los Angeles, and I forget the name of his organization, but his name was Tony Brown. I actually emailed him because he said something from the platform, and I emailed him and asked if I could quote him. And he said, show me a problem, I will show you an intergenerational approach to solve it. And so that's my passion. Like, put seniors and youth together, everybody benefits, including and especially society, right? Okay, so moving on to our next step. Usually we send out the feedback link the next day. And I know you're all busy, and I'm the same way. Who has time to do a feedback form while you're supposed to be working? So Stephanie's going to put a link in the chat, and I'm going to give you about 5 minutes right now. I want you to go to the chat box, click on the link, and I'm going to give you just a few minutes to fill out that feedback form right away. It's really important because United Way is the sponsor for CORE. We really need your feedback so that we can keep this group going and we can keep CORE going. We need to know what works and what doesn't work, and we need to hear it from you. So click on the link and do your feedback form, and I'll call you back in a few minutes. Okay, while some of you are finishing up, I just looked in the chat box, and I love what Shamshad said. She says, I grew up in India in a joint family with my grandparents at home, and always did activities like cooking, storytelling, singing, reading, parties, visits from family, and a lot. My grandma lived until she was 99 with my parents, and these are some of the activities which help social isolation. So Shamshad, the activities help, but you know what really helped social isolation is that the family lived together and did things together. And that's what it was like, 150, Shamshad, I'm not saying you're 100, but that's what it was like. And it used to be your grandparents lived around the corner. When I raised my kids, their grandparents were in the same community and they saw them a lot. But now grandparents and we're just so segregated. And so let's bring our communities back together, our generations back together, and create a better society. So I want to thank everybody. Stephanie, do you want to put the next slide up? And Stephanie mentioned about cooking activities. If you've ever cooked with somebody else, you know, well, if you like cooking, you know how fun that is. And you share lots of stories and spend time together. Okay, I want to thank everybody for coming and for staying the whole time. That's amazing. And for your ideas and your inputs. And like Stephanie said, if you have any ideas, you can email me. Also, if you keep thinking about this and have any other ideas about our topic today, email me and I'll make sure I include those in my notes when I send them out. Okay, so just a reminder to go to CORE. If you aren't part of our group, this is the Intergenerational Linkages Community of Practice. So join CORE, you become a member, that's free. Look for our group, join our group. And in there we have discussion threads and we have resources. That's where you're going to find a recording of this, which I will send out too. But it's really, and snoop around on all of CORE, not just our group. Okay.
And
Next
we'll keep that mural active for a little bit here too, so that we can send it out in the email Betty sends out, so that you folks can take some time to look at what the other groups put in theirs in detail and see if that stimulates any of your ideas.
Thank you. Okay, next slide. Next event. Okay, so this was an IG event, community of practice event. The next one is going to be on February 20th. And from 10:30 to 11:30, it's not going to be an event, it's going to be a cafe. Okay, and some of you may have come, every once in a while we have intergenerational cafes. It's like just meeting in a coffee shop. Okay, and the topic for that cafe is, so there's 3 things coming up. The end of April, we have Global Intergenerational Week. And June 1st, we have Canada's National IG Day. And then the first week of June is Seniors Week. And so we are going to be just having coffee together and talking about what are you doing in your communities, getting ideas, throwing out different ideas, talking about these 3 events and how can you start planning for those in your community. Okay, so just before I wrap up, just before we leave, any comments or questions?
And like Betty said, we'd like to invite you to join CORE Alberta to continue the conversation. If you ever need to email myself, you can email me at info@healthyagingalberta.ca, or you can message us in the Intergenerational Linkages chat in the group to talk about things, and Betty will be messaging content.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Happy Tuesday. Have a wonderful afternoon, and we'll see you on February 20th.